Hi, welcome. I am Miss Hazina Harun. I am your lecturer for database topic. All right, so now we will continue on part 2 for introduction to database, which is problems with file system. Right, so problem with file management system. Initially, our data we kept in filing system, right? But there's disadvantages or drawbacks with storing file or storing data in filing system. Every task requires extensive programming in a third generation language, which is 3GL, and programmer must specify tasks and how it must be done. Okay, so it meaning to say that when you want to link database with system, because when we develop a database, usually because we want to link it with system, right? So with that, usually we will code in the coding uh, to in sync with the type of database, right? So this actually presents some limitation in terms of the rigidness of type of language that can be linked with that particular database, right? Other than that, it is time consuming, okay, because you imagine if we have one file, okay, if we went we have one file for one system. So if let's say we have 10 system, we may have 10 filing system where actually some of the data in that file can be shared with other users as well, or other system as well. Okay, for example, the sales data or customer data in a company, for example telecom, yeah, so you have the same you have the same customer. So when you have different legacy system, you have to develop the data in the filing system that is related only for that particular system. All right, so whereas you actually can share the customer details, right? As number of files expand, system administration become difficult because you have many files, because you have many system, and therefore some administration work have to be enforced to make sure the file are in sync. Making changes in the existing file structure is difficult because, for example, you have one customer A, that has pulled out from your list of customers. Let's say you have 10 filing system or 10 file system data management. You have to update or delete the data of that particular customer A in all 10 files. File structure changes require modification in all programs that use data in that file. So let's say you have a database that link with system A. Then we need to do to system B that you can use that data in that file system. You have to alter a bit the coding for that relate with new system, so that that particular new system can use the file system. Modifications are likely to produce errors requiring additional time to debug the program. Yes, so when we debug, when you edit, when you modify, yeah, it may have the tendency of having error, yeah, and it takes time for you to debug. Security features hard to program and therefore often omitted. So because this is file system data management, the security elements are not good. Okay, so therefore sometimes they have to omit the security elements. Okay, next, in terms of structural and data dependence, okay, so filing system means you store the data in file system. In terms of structural dependence, accessibility to a file depends on its structure. So let's say system A is using Visual Basic, so that file must be the coding to extract the data from that file must be using Visual Basic. In another system B that is using C++, then accessing that file through C++, so you have to change a bit the coding so that it can extract that data. So this is what you call, in terms of accessibility to the file, depends on the structure of the system. And in terms of the structure as well, some system only needs column 1 and column 2 and column 3. System B may need only column B, C, and D, and so on and so forth. So they need some modification. This is what we call structural dependence. Data dependence. Changes in the data storage characteristics without affecting the application program's ability to access the data. So what do you call that? Data dependence. When you have new system, do you need to change certain characteristics of that data in that file? More often than not, you sometimes need to change the characteristic to suit on the new application program. Okay, logical data format, how the human being views the data in terms of system A wants the data to be in this manner or in this structure. System B may want to see the data in another structure or another view. So this brings some issues in terms of the data dependence. Physical data format, how the computer sees the data. So basically, you can say that file system data management is very rigid, where it is very tightly coupled with the application program. Okay, in terms of field definitions and naming conventions, yeah, this is another issue. So let's say you're using that file data or file system with a system using with system A. So the definition and the field definition and naming convention for that particular file may be last name, whereas customer last name, yeah, in this manner. But in another system, they may want to use it in this manner, cast dash last name. So this actually bring conflicts and issue where you need to adjust, you need to modify to the naming convention and field definition that suits you, the application program. Data redundancy. So data redundancy result in data inconsistency. So for example, you have one customer, okay, the details of the customer. Okay, let's say student, let's say student. Okay, so in example, if you put it one file system which is not shared. So let's say tomorrow the student status from single it becomes married. Okay, so only the application that or user that uses that update that data status data in the particular file will get the latest update of the status, whereas other application that use the same file, where because it is local, so may not see the latest update. So this is what we call data inconsistency. Different and conflicting versions of the same data appear in different places. Yeah, so then one another have to update the file system. Okay, update that that student from single to married, so go to file system B, C, update, and so on and so forth. So this brings issues in terms of data inconsistency. Errors more likely to occur when complex entries are made in several different files and or recur frequently in one or more files. Same example, if you may have the tendency of data redundant. Okay, for example, let's say you are assigned with two subjects and with two lecturers. Okay, Miss Hazlina and also Dr. Norbaya. Actually, the details of the students are all the same, but Dr. Nubaya has a file system on her students' details, and I, Miss Hazina, also have a data file that contains the same data. So why do we have this duplication, this redundancy, where we can actually just use one file system? Okay. Right, types of data anomalies. Anomalies is error. Okay, we use the term anomalies when we liaise with database. We call database anomalies. So there are a few types of data anomalies that can happen, okay, with relate with data redundancy. Update anomalies, insertion anomalies, and deletion anomalies. So update anomalies happen when changes must be made to existing records. So imagine you have like 10 same file system, because this 10 is attached with 10 different application program. So when you want to update one record, you may need to update 10 times. Okay, insertion, the same thing, occur when entering new records. So you have to update all that 10 file system. Same goes with the deletion, deleting records. So you have to delete in all that 10 file system. So this what we call data anomalies, and human make mistake, so it can create some issues later where data may not be consistent. All right, so that is the end of part 2, problems with file system, under the topic 1. Stay tuned, we will continue with part 3 on the database management system. Thank you.